So we gathered together to talk about the craft we saw when we were younger.
Right. The reason we didn't do this in the episode of Chasing the Unknown is because we all live kind of separate from each other, and we're going to talk about the UFO that me and Melvor made mention to in the first episode of Chasing the Unknown. It's Halloween night, and there was the four of us. We're trick-or-treating. Tim actually was the first one who saw it. Mm-hmm. So take it from here.
I had this jankety Halloween outfit on, and it was a big gnarly mask, and I really couldn't see through it. And I took it off. I look up, and there it is. Just there it is. The UFO. I remember that I remember that so vividly.
I had to have been about maybe 11, 12.
We had square lights rotating one way on it, and it just slow, steady, stopped, and booked left.
Just the nature of the craft itself was so bizarre, and so not like anything that I don't think anybody's seen other than in flying saucer movies. This thing looked like your cliched flying saucer. The only thing it was missing was a little do-do-do-do-do-do, type of sound, and little green men looking out those windows. So it's just the most bizarre, the most bizarre sighting, really, the most fantastic sighting that anybody could even ask for, I think, short of actual contact.
This thing flew right over Arlington, which is not a small city.
No, it's
there
not.
should have been hundreds of reports on
now,
this thing.
this predates the internet. Keep that in mind, too.
Doesn't matter, though.
No, it does, though. There's like something happens nowadays, and it's all over the internet. We didn't have that then.
People have gone back, though, online now, and they've reported things that they've seen 20, 30, 40 years ago.
You're not wrong about that.
And you start to see these kind of clusters where you're getting several people, basically reporting the same thing around the same time. And I've gone, every once in a while, I'll go and I'll actually look online.
Me too.
Do you really?
I do, yeah.
And it's aggravating because there's nothing.
I can't find
Nobody has reported seeing the same things that we have.
At all.
I don't know what we saw. It was just the most bizarre thing and the most ludicrously, spaceshipy, if you will. I don't know what to call it,
So, no, but we went back home. That kind of cut our night short-ish, I guess. We went back home, and we were all like... I don't know. It doesn't matter, though, honestly. Yeah. But I remember we were like, okay, what did we just see? Did we just see what we think we just saw?
I mean, it was so close that you could see it. It wasn't a blimp. It wasn't a plane. It wasn't no bullshit like that.
I don't know. I can't say. I just know that I couldn't identify what it actually was.
It was creepy to me. It was obviously like, I guess the first thing I thought of was, this is a technology I've never come across before in my life.
It wasn't the type of thing that should have been there.
This was close. It was identifiable. It was we could make out.
It was so identifiable. We knew it was unidentified. We knew it was a UFO.
Exactly.
We knew it wasn't commercial craft.
Exactly.
And that was so obvious.
Yeah. I was freaked out. I was scared.
You know what? I'm not gonna lie. I was 12 years old at the time. Maybe got a little freaked out. Fire in the Sky was something that was fresh on my mind at the time. The movie had just come out around then, I think.
Yeah. So what was I thinking when I saw that? Well, it wasn't a list of me trying to think what it wasn't. It was so clear on what it was that I didn't have to think anything else other than holy shit. That's it. That's what it was. It was a fucking UFO. Textbook style too. It's crazy.
It wasn't just one of us seeing things and the others were, just playing along. No, we all saw the same thing.
If I had to estimate, I would say this thing would have been bigger than like a commercial airplane, something that you get on, at DFW Airport and fly to anywhere else besides here.
So I modeled this in a 3D program simply because I don't think just a description or a drawing would have done it justice. I think people had to see how this thing was moving to really appreciate how fantastic the sighting was.
Silent craft, detailed as shit, close enough to see panels, the middle circle, all of that stuff. The lights going around the damn thing. I mean, there was no question about it.
The thing was a little farther away and a little higher, but a lot of the information was lost in the render, so I kind of brought it down and closer so you could actually see the details in the actual video. But that's the only fudging, quote unquote, if you will. And that was more for readability than anything else. I mean, my goodness, you know, I mean, you couldn't ask for, you know, a better sighting, really, in my opinion, you know, because most of the other ones that are documented, it is something that looks like it's 10 miles up in the sky, and it could be anything, you know. This thing was so sharp and clear enough to us to where we automatically dismissed anything commercial. I mean, that was obvious at that point.
There was no mistaking it for anything commercial.
There was no mistaking it for anything other than what it was.
This was so different.
Which was a UFO, man.
Well, we established by definition, because we could not identify what kind of craft this was. By definition, it is a UFO.
Yeah.
Man.
But
Dude, all I'm saying is just be a little more open-minded. Look at it from a couple of different
I agree.
perspectives.
That's why I said I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I disagree is all. I fall more on the man-made spectrum. You fall more on the alien spectrum.
And see, I'm exactly in the middle.
Okay.
I'm not exactly in the middle.
I'm exactly in the middle.
I kind of think it was alien, but I can't say certainly because of Halloween.
If it was
that's
military,
the one sticker for me.
Yeah.
The other three remember seeing a party going on down the street, and they actually specifically recall a guy coming out and looking up in the sky that was dressed in a gorilla outfit. It was a Halloween party.
I'd like to reach out if we could find him. If we could find him, that's all I'm saying.
If just Melvor would have seen something, people might be like, okay, maybe. But you throw me in, it gets a little questionable. You throw you two in, and it's like, there's no way, right?
And, you know, I didn't tell anybody about it for a very, very, very long time, simply because they wouldn't believe me.
So given the ridiculousness of the situation, the night, you know, being Halloween, the people involved, us idiots, I think Billy was probably the first person that I ever told about that.
Really?
Because nobody would believe it.
I think I told one of my teachers.
Like immediately?
Like pretty close after.
And what was her reaction?
Her reaction was that I was lying, that I was making shit up, that I needed to focus on my work. And I'm like, bitch, I ain't making shit up. I know what I seen, and it wasn't from this earth. We told Pops, and Pops was like, no, it wasn't that. It wasn't that.
He tried his hardest to convince us that it was a weather balloon or a blimp or something, anything else besides what we saw.
It was kind of at that moment, like if your own father isn't going to believe you, then you realize no one else is really going to believe you either. And that is really when I pretty much had decided, okay, I'm just going to keep this one to myself.
But he's seen a UFO. He was working on a base and some UFOs started flying by, right? And all of a sudden the base goes haywire. They're like calling, you know, looking out for this and that and everything else and saying, yeah, we're following it. And it flies over the base he's at, right? Well, after it did that and some fighter jets were trying to track it, after he did that, one of the higher ups called down to where he was at and was like, hey, what happened tonight? And they explained to him what had happened, and he's like, no, it didn't. That never happened.
Even to this day, I don't bring it up unless I feel it's absolutely warranted. Just because even with the technology and the fact that it's so much more accepted nowadays, it still just is a crazy ass story just because of the fact that it happened on fucking Halloween.
And you know what's that's the funny thing is the few times I have told people, I conveniently leave that and the gorilla guy out.
The gorilla guy, like he ruins the story for some reason.
I'm the complete opposite. I'll tell anyone who will listen, and if they don't believe me, well, fuck them. You know, I know what I've seen. You know, and the gorilla guy's in there, the Halloween factor's in there. I mean, it's all in there, and it hasn't changed.
The unbelievable part is the circumstances surrounding everything. Halloween night, the four of us, all that kind of stuff.
I actually think that it being Halloween was a deciding factor why we saw this. Because if it wasn't Halloween, if we were not trick-or-treating, we wouldn't have been there.
Or maybe the aliens are smart enough to say, okay, this is a holiday for them where stupid stuff like this would be reported. Okay. Let's go out and be seen. You know what I mean? And no one's gonna believe it if they report it.
That's some alien CIA shit right there.
That's funny that
dude.
you say that because
that's crazy.
I stopped just short of saying that this was alien because of the fact that it was Halloween. Because in my mind, that sounds like a human sense of humor.
Okay, that's
you know what
exactly
I mean?
what I was just about to say. I don't think it was alien at all.
If it was some type of advanced military, I could see them saying, let's go out in a major city on Halloween. Nobody's gonna believe anybody who reports
It makes
that.
sense.
Let's test it on
No.
Halloween.
It may
That being said-
if you're being
that being said-
Nah.
Hey,
Nah.
hey,
Nah.
do you remember
I'm
the-
sorry.
No.
Nothing that we have today will
yeah,
stop and
that's
book
it.
left
That's-
without turning. Nothing. Stop and book
Yes,
left.
it
It's like the
will.
candy back into the right. Stop and book left. I mean, that's
Now, what I will
100% for sure is alien. There ain't anything anyone can say or do. I mean,
You
it's-
need to do some research then, because
it's
I
aliens.
disagree. You have centripetal
You
force
do-
versus centripetal force,
Yeah, but
and
you
you
have
can create a vortex
propulsion.
like a bumblebee flies. A bumblebee hovers because there's nothing, because it works off the fucking counteraction of it. And that's how the vortex is created. With that vortex, that's why a bumblebee can shift to the left or to the right, because it's a combination of centrifugal and centripetal force.
At the time, I thought instantly government prototype craft. At this time right now, I still think the same thing. You know, a prototype craft of some sort, flown by man, not aliens. I think we've had this discussion already. In my opinion, aliens are demons. They're man's ultimate vanity to become, but we never will. So I still stick by that statement.
I have seen pictures of large triangular UFOs, if you will, that people have seen. I suspect those are military because the shapes of these things are a lot more conventional in the designs. This thing was just so out in left field and so just, something you'd see in a cartoon. The fact that it was actually a solid object flying in front of us was just stunning. It really was.
You always said that you saw military jets flying after this thing.
Yes.
I do not recall ever seeing that, but honestly, it's not the type of thing I would have noticed because we just freaking saw a UFO.
It was a short time after we saw the UFO, and I heard them and seen them flying over the skies, same general direction. I mean, that's why I know it wasn't a military.
And you
because
can argue that though. You can say, well, if it was military, why did we send F-16s or F-14s after?
Yeah.
We sent after.
Yeah.
And
You can argue that.
you can, because of the fact that who's to say that they were sent after the thing? Who's to say
And
that they
there's
weren't?
the other side of the
who's
argument.
to say they weren't escorting the thing?
There's the other side
to
of the
make
argument.
sure that,
Because if
that-
you have the technology to build a UFO, you don't need escortation. You just go. You go where you go. Okay. Yeah, it is now.
You don't have to believe me. I know the truth. I was there. I know what happened. I do have 3 witnesses to what happened, regardless of how incredible 2 of those witnesses may be.
If I was at home and you guys came back,
You wouldn't have believed us.
I wouldn't have believed you.
Would not
I'm
have
sorry.
believed us.
I would have thought you guys are just that stupid. You saw a helicopter and thought you saw
Yeah.
a spaceship. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? If I was not there to see what you guys saw,
Yeah.
I'd been laughing at you and just shut up. I don't want to hear
And this
about
is
it.
why I don't tell people this, because they weren't there, because they're going to go, okay, sure, whatever.
Yeah.
You have to be there for something like this for you to believe it. Or to believe someone else's other story. You have to have something like this. You have to experience something like this for yourself.
Yeah.
So, but
You know what I'm most comfortable with, though? The fact that I don't need you to believe me, because I was there, and I know it was
there you
fucking
go.
true.
I mean, yeah,
So
me too.
for
But
me, it doesn't matter if anybody else does, because I believe it happened, and I know it happened, and it's the fact that I know. Nobody else can take that from me. Nobody can.
there you go.
So, fuck them.
So, anyways, that's the 4 of us reliving that. I want to be all dramatic.
Eventful day, that
fateful
eventful night,
that Halloween,
yeah.
that Halloween night back in '92. Shit, but I mean, there it is. That's the story. All 4 of us sitting here saying there was a thing. It happened.
But that was our experience.
That was our experience, right?
Into the world of ufology. So.
And in the late great words of Tim Curry, and the worst witch, anything can happen on Halloween.
He's not dead, is
I was
he?
about to say, is he dead?
Who cares?
This goes out to the Arlington area. All right. If y'all know that one dude who was at that party, who seen what we saw, and I know he's out there. I know he is out there. He wasn't the gorilla costume. That one guy, okay? You know this guy. You've laughed at this guy. You've called him a liar. He ain't a liar, okay? He's telling the truth. Have him get a hold of us. I mean, we need this guy.